Valerie here. We talked about the importance of the credit score, and I promised you that we would also talk about how to improve that credit score. So just wanted to give you real quick some tips of how to improve that overall score. So hopefully after the last video, you actually went out and you uncovered your eyes and went and found out what your credit score is, and you reviewed everything. So that's actually a part of improving our credit score. The number one thing you can do is pull that report and review it for its accuracy. So we're gonna make sure that every line item on there that it says you owe this money is truly money that you owe. So you wanna just validate everything. That's the first thing. If you find something on that report that's not true, you're gonna wanna contact them and start working with them one-on-one in order to get that removed or corrected, whatever the case may be. The second thing that you can do to improve your credit score is real simple. It's just pay your debt on time. And so sometimes that can be a little more complicated than it sounds. And what I mean by that is you need to make sure that you're sending your payments not only by their due date, but by enough time for like the processing and any other things that may happen in order that in between that time period of you actually submitting the funds and them receiving the funds. Contact them. I sent the payment on the 10th. Did you actually get it? And apply it by the due date of the 15th. Just get to know your lenders. It's a simple phone call in some cases, or just reviewing your bill. If you get hit with a late fee, you know that it didn't get applied appropriately, and make sure you change the date that you're paying it on to accommodate that day or two that it was technically late. So you don't want to have any late payments at all. So we want to make sure we're paying all of our debt on time. The third thing you're going to do in order to improve your credit score is to improve your debt income ratio. So what does that mean? Well, that's the little calculation that we do that looks at how much debt you have in comparison to how much income you have. And in order to make that number really nice and beautiful and sexy, we have two things we can do. We can bump up the income, which, I'm a big fan of doing that. And the other option, or both, is to reduce that debt. So we already had a video out there under A Man Is Not a Plan for debt reduction strategies. If you haven't watched that already, I would encourage you to go out and do that now so that we can start reducing down that debt and improve that overall debt to income ratio. The next thing that we're going to talk about in improving your debt to income score is about the blend. So there's what we call a good mix of debt. So what do I mean by that? Well, there's one type of debt which is called the revolving credit kind of debt. And I always think of a revolving door, right? So as money gets taken out of that institution because you borrowed it, then you don't have as much money available to you, and then you pay it back, and then that balance goes back up. So these are your typical Visas, MasterCard, those types of debt structures where they have given you a set dollar amount that you are now allowed to borrow and then pay back over time or in lump sum, whatever your situation may be. The other type of debt is more of your term loans. So this is going to be your mortgages, your car notes, where they give you a very set defined amount that you are borrowing, and then letting you know that this is your absolute minimum payment that you have to make, and it's going to be for a set amount of number of years. So you want to make sure that when you're looking at your credit score that you have a blend of both, because what you're doing is you're establishing yourself in the credit world, in the credit community, that you are worthy and you are willing and able, and you do and have a history of meeting your obligations, and that you are trustworthy when it comes to the financials. The next one that we'll talk about is maintaining those more long-term accounts in a good standing position. So what does that mean? So when we talk about stuff like your Visas or your MasterCards or things of that nature, the ones where you have that revolving credit, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you're paying it, make sure you're paying it on time, make sure you're establishing that good credit score with them, you're in a good standing with them, you have a good relationship with them, but you're going to want to do that for a very, very long period of time. So what you want to do is make sure that you have that one that you're working with for a number of years. So that is going to show them that not only can you do what you say you're going to do, but you're going to do it repetitively and consistently over time. And the final thing that we'll talk about today is on not applying for a whole lot of credit. We don't want to continue to open up new accounts constantly on a consistent basis. So I know it can be tempting. They have a lot of deals out there, but every time you open up a new credit line, they have to go in and make an inquiry to your credit score in order to see if you're worthy and what interest rate they'll give you and things like that. And when they do that, that actually reduces down the credit score, because then they know that you're looking at potential more debt, and then that is, goes into the debt to income ratio, and all of these algorithms get built into that. And so it does affect negatively, unfavorably, your credit score. So you just want to try to, keep from doing that too often. So I always recommend to everybody, just have your main credit card that you're using if you're going to use one, and then pay that off. Of course, we've talked about other strategies in terms of having cash and going to a cash basis, which I'm also a big proponent of. And I'm not against debt, but again, I would tell you that if you're going to have debt, you're going to want to do it strategically and with a purpose and goal. And so we're going to have a video about how exactly to do that, what purpose and goals we should have, and what that strategy will look like. So until then, I will talk to you guys soon. Ciao.